tools in the box. I use CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, EDMR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, which is a wonderful tool, but not many people use it. I also use hypnotherapy and NLP. So that's it in a bag.
Excellent. Anna, a little bit of background on you, please.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm an Amazon seller, and I'm also a coach and mentor in an Amazon program. But a bit of background, why Danny asked me to come on this is that I was in a very abusive marriage for a long time. Got out in 2015. So since then, I've been, obviously building my business, but learned a lot as regards to my mental health of my children, and just coming on here really to share some thoughts and maybe help people really.
No, it's great, and you're brave, and thank you for coming on, because I know it can be kind of tough because the mental scars, I'm sure, are still there, but the fact that you're brave enough to talk about this in the public domain needs applauding. Liran, can you hear us now? I know that you just joined.
I can hear you now, and sharing this in a group and on my page, and happy to be here. Excellent. On a Mindset Sunday.
Cool. Do you want to just give a quick background on you? I know most people who tune in will know you, but for those who don't,
I mean, how dare they? Liran Hirschkorn. I live in New York. I've been selling on Amazon since 2014. I lead an Amazon ads agency, and starting to also. I'm starting some interesting things in the purchasing and building up brands. I'll talk more about soon, but just been involved in e-commerce and the Amazon space for a while. When did we meet, Danny McMillan?
We met. We were both speaking, or I was interviewing you on a panel on stage at
Retail Global Vegas.
Retail Global in Vegas, 2017.
17.
Yeah, and we've probably done about 45 podcasts since. Together.
Yes, amazing.
Yes.
So thankful to be here.
No, thank you. So let's just, everyone understand the concept of mental health. We know that there's a struggle going on at the moment. We know that being on lockdown, there's that compression effect. I see myself as very lucky where I am. I'm glad I'm not in that council flat from 25, 30 years ago, because I would be suffering a lot today. We know that there are families out there who maybe don't get on as well, and they've been compressed into this situation. They're in a small environment. So hopefully, that these people are going to stay safe, but we know that domestic violence up in the UK by about 20%. But ultimately what today's about is to just help the people out there, if they're having trouble. Let's unpack this as a discussion and stuff. So I'd like to go around the room first. And as this is a brutally open conversation, I'd like to know where everyone is with their mental health and how they're feeling about things. And then we can start to unpack stuff. So Linda, what is your state of mind, if you like, at the moment? How are you feeling?
Yeah, good, actually. Really good. But like you, I'm quite fortunate where I live. I don't have to struggle for money. And I'm busy. I'm really, really busy. Despite having family problems, and I think everybody has got family problems, and that's one thing I'd like to say to people. Don't believe what you see on social media. People are not telling you what's really going on in their life. They're showing you the wonderful dinner that their husband cooked, but they don't tell you about the argument they had because the dishes weren't washed or something like that. They're showing you themselves that they're all glammed up and they've got their makeup on and hair's beautiful. Hey, it's not true. They are normal people like you. And I'm truthful. Today is the first day I've taken my gym kit off for a week and I've put makeup on because that's not where my life is at the moment. I'm not meeting people. Nobody's going to knock unexpected on my door. So I don't have to look the part. And that's what I'd like to say. Don't believe everything on social media. It's not true. Don't measure yourself against it.
Good. I like that. And same question to you, Anna.
I actually had a really flat day yesterday. There was no reason for it. Just felt just flat and a bit fed up. I think it may be because I'm so busy in the week, and normally on a weekend I'd be going out and about. And so today, I think I said to you earlier, because actually when you were asking me to come on this, I was like, you know what, no, I'm having a note of technology day today.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to do that. And then afterwards I reflected on it, I thought, no, this could really help people. And I know by sharing my story, it does really help people. So I think I've learned over the years how to deal with if I have a bad day. And it's just literally getting outside in nature and, you know, we'll come to probably some bit more kind of things to share in a bit. But I think it's fine to say I've had a crap day.
Yeah.
Like Linda said, it's, you know, you see on social media all the time, everybody having these amazing days, but you know, it's not real, is it? It's Facebook, as I often say.
Yeah.
So, it's fine to have a bad day, you know.
Yeah, I think it's being vulnerable, I suppose, and not everyone's willing to do it, and that's fine. But I think to get to vulnerability, you've got to get there first and be comfortable in yourself to show vulnerability. Liran, what about you? You're always like 100 miles an hour. You post a lot on social, right? But you're very brutal with stuff as well at times. So where are you at the moment?
And, you know, I think, is it Linda?
Yeah,
Linda, you know, I think what you said is spot on, that, you know, people show you, including myself in some ways, but people show you the highlights, not the lowlights, right? You see the highlight reel of somebody's day, life, week, month, but you don't see everything. And although I think the more vulnerable you are in social, the more authentic you will be at connecting with an audience, if that's what you're trying to do, and people see you as real. And that's my philosophy. But, you know, I'm thankful that, like, I've been training for this. All the work that I've done mentally working on myself for the last, since I went to my first Tony Robbins event in 2009. All the work, all the time you put in, like, if you've been working on yourself, in December this past year, I went to Date with Destiny. It was a 6-day event with Tony Robbins, just working on yourself for, you know, 13, 14-hour days. All the work that I've put in, I'm very thankful for, because it's coming to be very useful right now. So I feel like I'm in a really good place. I feel like, you know, if I had to pass on any advice, it's that, including myself, a lot of us are in our head, worried about things that will never happen, and are in the future, too much in the future. I think you need to think about the future, but I think you can also think about how you can control the future, and being present and being in the now, I think is super important. Even those of you that are watching this or listening to this right now, I would challenge you. Are you doing 5 other things on your phone, or are you in the moment? When you're in the moment with and present, whether that's having dinner with your family or working on your business or listening to a podcast, you're going to get a hell of a lot more out of life. And I think that has helped me, in a lot of principles that I've learned along my life in the past few years have really helped me. So I'm very thankful for that. Sure, I have bad days sometimes. Sure, sometimes I have irrational fears and anxieties. But I think also having a Swiss Army knife of tools, like what I think it was Anna said, going out in nature, right? That's like a tool. You say, okay, I feel like shit, I'm going to go out in nature. This morning I woke up, I sat on my porch and just like soaked in some sun that was coming in, right? And that makes me feel good, and that can make my whole day feel better. So it's good to have a toolkit. And, you know, like I've been having military mental training for this environment.
Yeah, makes total sense. My turn, I suppose. This is my therapy. 31 days in a row. This makes sure I get up and become accountable. I've said this before. First couple of weeks of the lockdown, it was fucking horrible. But I knew all I had to do was get through them first 10 or 12 days and piece everything together. I knew what I had to do. I had to make a lot of decisions, and I made them all in a 12-day period, which then gives you peace of mind. And then that settled things down again. And then I think it was last week, I just had like 3 or 4 off days. I think what the point was is that I think I'd hit it so hard, and then I got to the point where it caught up. Have you ever had that? Like the after effect. So you're trying to help as many people as possible, support people, and then you don't do anything for yourself, and then suddenly you have a crash. And then I think I had a moment where I'm just trying to think about, when is it going to be over? Because even though I'll look out and I've got this beautiful view and I've got everything I need, like they said, is like people talk about money, and your internal happiness is everything. It doesn't matter how much money you've got, or will you think when you get there, if I've got this or this shiny toy, it doesn't matter. Because even when I looked out to my beautiful view that I have every single day, even when it rains, I wasn't happy. I wasn't in a happy place. It took me about 3 or 4 days to get through that. And then I'm back in the game. Yeah. But you do go through these periods where you can't put your finger on it. And I even said to my wife, like, she said, look, what is the matter with you? Like, you're distant and everything else. And I said, I don't know. I just think I need to work on me first. Once I'm back, you'll know when I'm back and I can help everyone else. But right now, I just need to do me.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. I think it's also good to recognize that inside of you is a wheel of emotions, right? Yeah. Like, in order to feel happy, sometimes you need to feel sad, right? Like there has to be some contrast, because if like you'd never get excited about anything if you just had that thing, if you never worked towards that thing, or meaning if everything was always 100%, you wouldn't appreciate it. You wouldn't appreciate everything as much, right? So I think it's recognized that it's okay to be sad or to have a tough time, but then like how do you turn that around, and what can you do to turn that around? Like going out in nature or like exercising, but that there will never be a period where you're just like 100% happy all the time. It just doesn't exist. It's not part of human nature, and it's not part of nature, right? You look at nature and you look at the seasons, right? And there's seasons where there's winter where everything sheds, the trees don't have leaves, and then there's spring and things bloom and life comes back, right? And I think we're the same kind of as human beings, but I think like you would never, if you were winning every day, you would never be thrilled about the wins, right? Like
you become immune, don't you?
Yeah, you become immune. So I think just recognizing that and understanding that that's part of life, and that then taking action is, yesterday I spent the whole day working. Okay. I worked on an Amazon listing. Like, I haven't written a listing in a while. I've always outsourced it. I'm like, no, fuck it. I'm going to go write this listing myself. I sat down, I spent 3 hours, I wrote the listing. And you know what? After, I was like, that looks pretty good. I felt good because I took some action, right? Like it's like making your bed, right? Or cleaning your house, or doing something like that you can look after and be proud of what you did. And I think taking action right now, like, yeah, I understand people wanting to, sort of like take some time and sit back, but also you really need to, like, at some point get up and take action and make yourself feel proud. Look in the mirror and feel proud of who you are. And the easiest, best way to do that is take some positive actions.
Can I just say there as well, when you're in that funk, we all go in that funk at time, what you need to start doing is just listen to your self-talk at that time. Often we are so clever at kicking ourselves and beating ourselves up and, oh God, I should have done this better. I should have got more likes on that broadcast I did. I should have more people watching. Where am I going wrong? Where can I tweak it? What am I doing? And we actually beat ourselves up so much. And when that happens, one of the things I would say is be kind to yourself. If I went to you, Danny, and I said to you, look, I've started this project and hey, I've been doing it 3 weeks now and I've not got where I want, you would be kind to me. You would say, hey, Linda, hang on a minute. This is what you've achieved. You've set off and you're here and you're going there.
Do you know, actually, Linda, what I'd actually say to you, and I say this to everyone, and Liran knows this as well as I do, right? When you do like podcasting, doing this, or you're building an audience or any of this stuff, you will be ignored in year one on most cases. Your likes, your views will be absolutely terrible. You just have to just get on with it and not count it. Does that make sense? Yeah. And I think that's the difference, is the staying power and the consistency and turning up. One of the things, again, it comes about being comfortable with that. Yeah, my YouTube views are terrible. Go and have a look at them. There's like, most videos are less than 100. But where it really happens is on the podcast. And this gets replayed or back on the podcast, because that is the medium. It just gets distributed across the other channels. So people might go, they'll look at that, but you can't, I don't believe you should tie in your self-worth to the volume of likes that you get on a post. There's a difference from challenging to growing an audience and go, okay, this video got 10 likes, but then the next one gets 30 or 40, and you go, okay, that's progress. But it should never tie in your self-worth to this.
No, you have to be kind to yourself. And likewise, your mind and your body, your mind and body is connected together. And you need to praise yourself as well. You need to mentally praise yourself, because as you praise yourself, then your mind works for you and you go forward. I mean, it's kind of like that old quote from Martin Luther King. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just get on that first step. And actually pat yourself on the back for that first step, whatever you're doing in life.
And the first step is the hardest step. But once you take, every day I have a Peloton bike. Every day I look at that Peloton bike. I'm like, I don't want to get on the bike. But once I put on those shoes and I clip in, like, I'm there, right? I always finish the ride. I never not finish. I never don't feel good after. It's just like, put on your sneakers, put on your shoes, sit in front of your computer and get to work, open your notebook. Like, the first step is the hardest step, but it's so much easier. You really have to fight your brain and your head to take the first step. And if you can be mentally tough to do that, you're going to be mentally tough to do other things. Like, I do it on purpose. I push myself on purpose because, if I can push myself physically, when I need to push myself mentally, I'll be able to do it.
Yeah, you have to step outside that comfort zone. It's so easy to stay cocooned in that comfort zone, but to grow or to achieve anything, you have to go into the scary bits.
Yeah, just going to say some hellos to the audience. So Andrew's waiting for this one for the whole week. Pat Taylor says, hi all, hope you're doing great. Dan O'Donnell is saying, good afternoon, Danny and crew, greetings from Thailand. Andrew says, greetings. And then we've got Paul Miller. Hey Paul, hope you're well, good day. Tiff's back. Good morning, guys and ladies. I love going out in nature too. Followed up with what she's saying is so true. We can be our own worst critics. And thanks, guys and ladies, for this. It helps keep me going. That's great.
One quote I want to bring into this that I've read a couple times over the last year, but recently too, that I pulled up that kind of I think stamps a lot of what you're saying about taking the first step is, think about nature, right? Talking back to nature. So the quote is, if an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. If broken by an inside force, life begins. Great things always begin from the inside. Like, you have inside of you a power, okay? Take the power to take the first step or to do the action or to do the hard things. The power is inside all of us. Beating yourself up is not going to give you the power, right?
Yeah. So. And you'd be surprised how, like, when you think about stuff, like, I'll give you an example, and anyone in the audience can try this now. You got negative thoughts go around your mind, yeah? What you can do is change that by creating an affirmation. And you could say something like positive mental thinking. And every time you feel that negative thought, say the words positive mental thinking over and over and over and over again. Suddenly you realize that clears. Because you can then start to take control of some of your thoughts. There's some great thought leaders, for a better word, on YouTube you can check in to deal with that, because I think that self-critical thing has a physiological point of view as well. So you could get so bad with being negative and unhappy that it affects you physically. Like you were saying, getting on the Peloton, Liran.
Yep.
But sometimes you don't even have the energy for that. If you've drawn yourself out so much and gone down so low, you don't have the physical energy as well. So self-talk is what can work in a number of ways, but it's so important to remember your thoughts are thoughts.
And realize most of your thoughts are bullshit. You're running on a mental loop. Most of your thoughts are the same thoughts you had yesterday and the day before. And like, you can also choose, like, right, like, to look at your thoughts in a different way. Like, your thoughts are like these, they pass on a cloud, right? Just like, let them pass, right? You don't have to accept the thought or take the thought in. You can also let the thoughts just pass you by. And I think that perspective could be helpful to realize that most of your thoughts are, a bunch of nonsense.
And also, I think
sorry,
it's about perception, isn't it? Because you can be, like yesterday, I was probably having a few negative thoughts, and then today, looking back on those thoughts, there is a total different perception of them. So, and you can so easily do that. Like you said, Liran, that, you can have, if you don't have the high days, you've got to have the low days to have the high days, and it's fine. It's like, accept it. It took me ages to accept like a bad day. Now I just like accept it and not fight it, because I'm not a perfect person. And I used to do quite a lot of EFT techniques, the tapping techniques, that if you know, Linda. And
Nick Ordner.
Yeah, I used to I used to feel really stupid doing it, but because obviously with all my past, you're on 31 podcasts, I'm on 31 court hearings so far. So I used to, before court hearing, I used to be, doing these tapping techniques. I think that I don't know them all, but there's here.
Yeah.
And it was just saying little things, not maybe out loud, because I'd feel a bit stupid doing that, but just saying, I am a good person. Can do this. And just
the pressure points that you were talking. Yeah.
So look it up, EFT. I think it's really good. So if you get anxious,
So a couple of things I want to talk about. Again, thank you, Anne, for coming on. I have to be careful with what I say in some of these conversations, because I don't want it to affect others. But what I have found over the last few weeks, private conversations, even like Amazon sellers reaching out to me, there seems to be a good few people that are suffering from mental abuse from their partners. I know, Anne, you've gone through both physical and mental. What can we say to the audience today who's kind of going through some of these things? There was a post on Facebook that I shared of someone else who set up almost like a fake brand of makeup, and it was a disguise for a disguise, so that if you needed to speak to anyone, you could go, I need that mascara there, and etc. And that was like a code, because you can give, like, the delivery address is your home address. That means if you're having domestic violence and stuff at home, it was able to report it covertly, which I thought was an amazing way of doing things. And what would you say to people out there who's suffering at the moment?
I would say, you've really got to go with your gut instincts, because if anything like me, you'll have hidden it for quite a few years. And if you keep getting back to that point where your gut says you need to get out, you've got to go with your gut. You've got to try and find a way. I've been thinking a lot about it recently because of the situation, thinking, from a gratitude point of view, really, that I managed to get out. And I think for me, maybe it's looking at other people saying, if you notice that there's lots of Zoom calls going on in the house party app at the moment, if you notice one of your friends is not turning up to those, say they're coming up with excuses that I'm tired and things like that, there could be something else going on. If it's not obviously the odd time, but if it's consistent, so it kind of lets look out for other people, not just domestic abuse, but just people who could be struggling through this time. If it does get really bad and you are in a really bad situation, the best tip I got was just go into your bathroom, lock the door, and ring the police.
Yeah,
it's the safest place you can be. And I know it's the reality, and that's sometimes what you've got to do. And I have to do that on occasions.
And I mean, it's reduced because of everyone being on lockdown at the moment. It makes it more difficult. Like, even if you didn't want to phone the police, it makes it difficult to travel to friends and family or to hotels just to get away. Even if you had the financial resource to do so, that makes it difficult there. So what would people do? I suppose the only option really is to call the police, isn't it?
Yeah.
On that one, the police have set up a thing. If you phone 999 but you can't talk, you just press 55,
right,
and they trace it back. They know you're in danger. So the police have done that. And they've also said, if you're actually in danger, the lockdown doesn't apply to you. Leave, wave down a policeman, go to a police station, go to a hotel, get them to call you. Just go anywhere. Go knock on a neighbour's door. If you're in danger and you can get out, just get out, and the police will back you at the moment.
Okay.
The only thing to add to that, though, is that when I never rang 999 because I thought, this can't be really happening to me. I'm a really strong character. And I was in denial, really. So I rang 101 was the first time, and I dialed it because I felt like I wasn't bothering them then. And that I programmed it in my head that I was just asking for advice, and that was okay. So it's okay to do that too, because the person at the end of the phone call will decide what action needs to happen. But just make sure if you do that, that nobody, your perpetrator can't hear you.
Yeah.
You're, being in the bathroom is probably the best, safest place, really.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, isn't it? And when we're checking on people, we've always got to assume the perpetrator's there. So watch what you're saying, even if it's a message, watch what you're saying. And if you can get that person, give them a code. So if you phone up and the perpetrator's there and they're wary of what you want to say, they can just say, oh, sorry, nobody of called John lives here, and they can put the phone down. So if you can get some sort of code between you working, so they know you're checking up, but the perpetrator's there, because it's not always women that are in danger. I mean, the majority of times it is, but I have known men go through physical abuse as well.
Yeah.
So it does work both ways. So men have to check on their friends as well.
Yeah, equally across the board. It doesn't
And
matter.
I want to add a few things. And I've been married now, my second marriage, for 10 years. I've been with my wife 15 years. But prior to that, I was married and divorced, and my ex-wife at one point threatened me with a knife to my neck, and got scratched up and stuff. Never felt like abused, because she was definitely not stronger or bigger than I am. Definitely mental abuse, but at the same time, the advice I would give you is, one, I don't know what it's like to be in your shoes if you're being abused. I imagine right now it's super difficult, because you feel stuck, and maybe you feel like you can't go anywhere, or you can't do anything. What I would say is that I think in your head you need to have the mindset that anything is figure outable, that you're not stuck, that there is a way out. Because again, I don't want to pretend like I know what it's like to be a woman that's being in domestic violence, but I would say, I imagine why a lot of women stay is they feel like they have no choice. Maybe they're it's a finances, maybe the kids are at home, you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do. And I would say everything is figure outable. What you need to do is write down, what can I do, who can I reach out to? And and like Linda and Anna said, where can you go? I was having this conversation with my wife. We were talking about a friend that we know, and we're like, wonder how their marriage is right now, because it wasn't that great, and now they're home together. And I was like, well, if she reached out and wanted to come stay with us, I would take her in. Like, yes, there's coronavirus. I don't think she has it. She's been quarantined. Like, I would take her in my house. So there are plenty of people that in certain circumstances would absolutely take you and your kids, or whatever the situation is, would take you in right now. I think you have to first get out of this concept that you're in a place that you can't get out of, because I would imagine that's why a lot of
isn't that part of the abuse as well, is that it's framed in such a way that you're being
stuck.
worn down until you're helpless or feel helpless.
Yeah, like maybe you're not working, and how are you going to pay the bills, and what, all that is figure outable. Like, you need to have the confidence, not that you can do anything, but that you can kind of deal with any situation. And I think that's the first step to getting out of a really bad situation, and that you'll figure it out. And hopefully, and I can also imagine that it's embarrassing, and a lot of women don't want to tell friends or family, or I don't think I told my parents for years, and after I got divorced, that my ex-wife threatened me with a knife, because they would have said, like, why didn't you leave at that moment? Like, right? Like, and there's blame there, and you're worried. So I think opening up to people, you'd be surprised at, like, the kind of response on a positive way that you would get.
But I think Anna will probably agree with me on this one. It's all right having the self-confidence, but it erodes your self-confidence and it erodes your self-esteem. Do you think, Anne?
Yeah, I think because I was the breadwinner, so I kept reminding myself I can go at any point. I'm financially independent, but it was, I suppose my fear was what he was going to do, because I felt, maybe I shouldn't share too much about this, but that there was some mental health issue with him there, like, and so I was worried about the things that had happened, and being strangled is not nice. But what would he do? What could happen? The police might not get here quick enough. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was all of that part of it. But yeah, I think I was a strong person, so I kept saying this is can't be happening to me. But you're right, it kind of.
So basically, Anna, you were the breadwinner. You could have gone at any time, but it's that psychological hold, isn't it? The insurance that may have been bred into you over a long period of time.
Yeah, and I didn't want to break up the family. It was the children, you know, it was the whole children. But it became that I thought I'm showing that my boys the wrong values. They're going to become like he is.
Yeah. Well, the two things going to happen. They're either going to turn out like him, or they do the opposite. And I hope to think I won't go into graphic detail out of respect for my mum, but hopefully I've been the complete opposite to my dad in what happened back then. But you're right, it can go two ways. You can either be like that person, or you want to be the opposite of that person. Does that make sense? So, but you can't choose that, and you don't know until your kids grow up of what that's going to be. But you're right, you know, you don't want to expose them to that. So
you also get the emotional blackmail as well. If you leave, I'm going to kill myself. And then the person takes on, how can I live with that guilt? And it's not their guilt. It's not their shame. They've got to tell someone and discuss it. But that's the other hold. You may be a breadwinner. You may be financially independent. You may not have children, but they've still got that control over your mind. And even if they're not physically abusive to you, that is still abuse. And a lot of people don't realize that. You may not have a bruise, a cut, or anything, but it is severe mental abuse that people are living with, that hold.
And I think it probably comes out when you are doing something a little bit different. So if you do start an Amazon business, or you do start, because this is how it sort of started for me when I started coming out in the corporate world and doing something different online, I noticed there wasn't the support. I noticed there was, you know, you're going to fail at this kind. There was negative, you know, it all kind of stemmed from that, really. So I think there's probably a lot of people, a lot of women who maybe have got children and want to start an online business, and then you maybe get a wake-up call a little bit about your marriage, and that's a different conversation. So it's not abuse, but it could go abusive.
Yeah, I mean, there's, like you said, I think this compression, what could happen, and we've joked, is that there's going to be more babies in this from the pandemic, but there's going to be more divorces as well. And it doesn't have to be that they're violent or anything. It just means is that being put under the same roof where they're not, both parties could be working all day. So you only spend a couple of hours a night with each other, so it's tolerable. But then suddenly you're grouped and forced into a situation, which is obviously then that can make it difficult. One of the other things, if you don't mind, I want to be sensitive about moving the subject along. But another thing I want to talk about is people tying their self-worth to their Amazon numbers. I actually spoke to a seller friend of mine. I've tried to convince him to come on the show. He's not normally interested. And he said, like, he's a bit of a lunatic and very like funny with stuff. And he's got rock solid mental health. But he did say in the early days, his self-worth was done by his Amazon numbers. So if they were up, he was up. The next day he was down. Is there anything we can talk about here? Because obviously there's people out there that are going through the stages of non-essential goods and essential goods. So the sales are up and down, what can we say to these people?
I would say that I think a better philosophy, is to praise the effort, not the results.
Yeah.
Right? Praise the effort, not the results. At the end of the day, did you take positive actions that move your business forward? If you want to tie that to your self-worth, or move your personal life, or move your fitness or your mental health, at the end of the day, did you take, because it's the accumulation of those small actions that are going to move your business long-term. The ups and downs of every single day in business, like watching the stocks, right? Like, I mean, you have no control over that. And if you have no control, then you shouldn't tie your self-worth to it. The question is, what do you have control over? And the only thing you have control is the actions that you took that day, and tie your self-worth to that. If you sat around watching Netflix all day instead of working on a Tuesday, you might not feel great about yourself. But if you took a bunch of good actions in your business to move forward, then you could feel great. And I would say, you know, praise the efforts, and the results will come. The other thing is, you know, I think just in general, when you signed up to be an entrepreneur, you sign up for the highs and lows. And I think, I think for a lot of Amazon sellers, maybe this is the first time they're seeing those kind of lows in their business. Maybe you started, 2-3 years ago, the economy's been great, things took off for you, and now you see lows. But you signed up, when you signed up for entrepreneurship, you signed up for success and failure, and they're both temporary conditions. And I think if you realize that and have that as part of your sort of arsenal of like what reality is, you're not going to tie your self-worth to your numbers every day, because there's zero control of whether or not tomorrow somebody goes out and buys a barbecue glove.
Makes sense. Linda, do you want to add? You're nodding. Do you want to add anything here?
Yeah, I coach golfers and golf psychology and things like that. And it comes down to the same thing. You cannot have the outcome. You cannot go out there and say, okay, I'm going to win this match, this tournament. All you can do, same as in business, is check the process. So at the end of the day, you may have a checklist of process, which isn't, I moved $20,000 of stock today, but it is, I got in at 5 o'clock. I did my customer service. I contacted for my next orders, and have your processes set in place. And then you will survive the down times. And when the up times are coming, you will be ahead of the game.
Yeah. And anything you want to add here?
I was just going to say, it's a bit like what you said about your podcast, it's being consistent and just having that. I'm always looking for solutions. If it's in business or in my personal life, I just think you just have a solution mentality, that there's always a way. There's always a way. And challenges are just going to happen, aren't they,
Yeah.
Just be consistent, like Liran said about actions, really.
Yeah. In fact, you should welcome the challenges, right? Because if there were no challenges, everyone would be able to do it, and then it would be harder for you to succeed. If you welcome the challenges and know that, hey, I'm one of the 5% that can overcome the challenges, then you can win. And that's what it comes down to in your business, is like, can you overcome the challenges that are going to come? And they're going to come. And so if you welcome if you have an amazing mindset, you might say, awesome, COVID hit, less new sellers are coming in right now. Which new Amazon seller that's just starting wants to come into your niche today? Nobody. Awesome. I welcome the challenge. I'm going to fight. I'm going to win. Maybe my competition isn't. And so if you kind of embrace that philosophy as opposed to trying to fight it, you're going to be in a much better position, and your business can actually come out stronger ahead. I think at the end of this, there will be a far greater separation among the winners and the losers in business, because the people that are taking action now and training hard on their mind and business every day, the gap will widen between those that aren't.
Definitely. Is there anything else you guys want to add? I've kind of covered a lot of my questions, but obviously you guys bringing other stuff to the table. In terms of mental health, what other things should we focus on for the next 20 minutes or so?
One thing I was going to say is that what really put me in good stead with everything that I went through is that I think maybe coming from the corporate world as well, there was a lot of personal development, but I was really into things like Joe Dispenza and following people who, I think if you've got that foundation, whatever problems that you have, you can always refer back to some of these things. So find a few people that, are kind of leaders in this sort of self-development world, and who you like, because there's lots of different ones, there's loads of good ones, and you're just following people who you kind of relate to, really.
Yeah.
Keep you level.
What about yourself, Linda?
Yeah, there are some people that are genuinely down, and it goes longer than 3 or 4 days, and being locked down and not being able to see family and friends actually makes it harder for them, and they may not be clinically depressed or not diagnosed, but they're verging on it. And I would say to those people, if you can, just get a book, get an exercise book, whatever you've got lying around. Normally, I would say go to a shop and buy something that draws you, not a plain black cover, but a kid's exercise book would do. And I'd like you to set your timer for 10 minutes. And I'd like you to sit down, open that book, and just spew out everything that you're feeling. Don't correct the grammar. Don't read back what you've said. Just offload. And I would say write it. Don't type it on a keyboard. There is a connection between your mind and your hand. Just spew it out. Just write it. Get it all off your chest. It's like offloading to a therapist. It's a really, really good way of
gets it out, doesn't it?
It does.
It takes from here to out there. So
yeah, I had one lady years back. Unfortunately, she's died now. She had breast cancer, and we were doing this to help her cope with it. And some days she'd come in and the book would just be scribble, and I'd say, "What was this?" And she says, "That's how I feel. There's no words." Some days she'd come and I apologise for the expletive, but it'd be fuck in all different writing, different things, because that's how she felt. And she couldn't say it to anybody, but that got her through it. And
she expressed herself. And from that was her release. Yeah.
It was. Now, when you finished it, if you haven't finished your 10 minutes, stay there, because something might pop in. It doesn't matter if you've said it, you might say it again in another way. When the 10 minutes are up, shut the book and go away. But before you shut it up, just have a think. What 3 good things have happened to you that day? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be I won the lottery kind of wins. It could be, well, actually, do you know what? I made dinner and that dinner tasted good. Or, God, I was sitting there feeling low and my kid came and plunked a kiss on my cheek. Just little wins for the day. Just 3 good things that have happened that day that were nice. And that would help.
Makes sense. Andrew probably answers his question here. We tend to control our anger and stress. Should we do the same when we're happier than normally? Should we calm down when we're over enthusiastic? Not sure how to handle times when I'm overly enthusiastic. If I'm overly enthusiastic, I want to burn that energy on all great good things and get stuff done. Because if that's not a regular thing for someone, then you should cherish that. Sorry, Liran.
Yeah, I would jump in and say, one, no, being passionate, like you said, you should be like, when you're in that zone, I think that's great. I think what you should do is, one, recognize that that feeling is not going to last forever, and take a mental screenshot of that feeling. So when you feel badly at some point, a day or 5 days or 2 weeks later, you can go back to like, but there was this other time where I felt this amazing, and I know that feeling is going to come back at some point, whether that's tomorrow or the next day, right? Like you just know that if you have that feeling now, you can have that feeling again. And when you feel like shit, remember that feeling. But then, I mean, no, I don't think you want to calm down great feelings. Just recognize that feelings come and go. And that this over a sense of emotions is going to go. And also, what decisions are you making when you're in that state, right? If you're making decisions that you think are quick, recognize that maybe you should like write some shit down and come back to it like a day or 2 later before you make decisions in a state that, maybe you're overly optimistic, maybe whatever it is that you're not making any rash decisions. But I think you want to control anger and stress much more than happiness and joy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let that out. Another thing I forgot that I wanted to talk about as well is drinking and recreational drugs as well in this current climate. I mean, you've stopped smoking weed a few months ago, Liran, didn't you? Since Christmas. Obviously, that'll make an impact. One of the things I've done is I've drink a lot less in the pandemic. When I go out and we go out on the road and speaking, I like to have fun, right? No bones about that. But you need to be in the right frame of mind. And I've found that since being home and the days feel longer, I'll drink once or twice a week. And the volume of drink has gone right down. I might only drink for an hour. Do you know what I mean? Instead of 4 or 5 hours over a period of time. And I've reduced the regularity, not because I'm in a bad place. I just know next day is a fucking long day with a hangover. Do you know what I mean? So it makes me readjust. So what can do with people out there? Because there are people who may not realize that 1 or 2 glasses of wine a night, they could have a histamine issue and the hangovers and the feeling the next day could be terrible. But because they don't know what good feels like, but they're so used to drinking every day, they don't. That's their new normal. Does that make sense? So what do we say to people doing that at the moment?
It's habits, isn't it? It's getting out of that habit, because I know when I split with my ex, I was drinking quite a lot. I wouldn't say I was like, I had 2 children, so I wasn't like incapable. But I was drinking quite a bit. And actually, it was when I started having more police involvement that stopped. Because I thought, I can't be drinking wine when the police turn up, you know?
Yeah.
I just replaced it with mint tea, because I thought, actually, I'm putting on weight. Just drinking, it's all this sugar that I'm drinking. And I managed just to get out of that habit. And now maybe at weekends and stuff. I think through this period of time, it hasn't majorly changed. I noticed when we were, when everybody was shopping and trying to get wine and beer and all that, I noticed that me buying a little bit more, but I actually stopped myself. A few friends sent me these vouchers, where you can order like 12 bottles of something, and I said to myself, no, because that's going to get me into a bad habit, because it could easily come back,
Yeah, because the thing you think about that habit starts as well is that, let's just say you're in a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom flat, 2 children, they're run crazy food day, you're not getting on with your partner. By 6 o'clock, you've had enough, and that's your savior, that glass of wine or that beer or whatever. And it's how you've got to address the pattern from earlier before you even get to 6 p.m.
It is the pattern, because it's the clutch, isn't it, of having that drink, but actually you can replace it with something else.
There's a couple of concepts that I would add that I think you can think about to help you make, because it comes down to making good decisions, right?
Yeah.
And the way you make good decisions is there's something Ray Dalio calls first order consequences and second order consequences, and Jesse Itzler breaks it down, makes it easier, and he says the concept is called remember tomorrow. Okay, how will I feel about this decision tomorrow? Right. For me, it's not necessarily drinking. I don't have really any alcohol in the house. I'm not a big drinker. If I go out to
never have been, have you? I mean, I've been on the road with you a lot, and you barely drink. Yeah.
No. I don't really enjoy it. But sometimes it's 10 o'clock at night. I've had dinner. I'm up in my room. I'm kind of my bedroom, getting ready to go to bed. I'm like, I'm hungry, right? And then I think, but I don't really want to eat this late. Like, remember tomorrow. How will I feel about this decision tomorrow? If I go down and I eat something bad now, I'm not going to feel good about myself tomorrow. So I just don't do it. And it makes it easier when I have that concept in mind. The other thing is that I think it's really important, I think it's really important right now is who you're spending time with, not just in your house, but your peer group socially. I see some people doing these Zoom drinking nights, right? And
I'd be one of them.
Okay, hey, once in a while, sure, but I just I'm not going to join that. It's not going to be. That's not me. That's not who I am. It's not who I want to be. On the other side, I'm in this Facebook Messenger group with 15, 20 other guys that are all doing eating healthy and working out, and in there, you'll see screenshots of people's workouts and how much I ran today, and competition and motivating each other. And the people that I'm trying to spend time with, socially at least, or online, are people that bring me up, and that are going to push me to take positive steps in my life. So I think if you are surrounded by people with bad habits,
they're going to rub off, aren't they?
Socially distance yourself.
Yeah. This is what I love about when me and you can chat. Some things become the opposite end of the spectrum. I'll do a drink. We call it drink champs, where we get together. It's normally about 90 minutes, so it's not even all night. But I do understand what you're saying is that I have habits that you don't have, but we can still have a good, healthy conversation without either party being offended.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's not about offending, but. I say surround yourself with people that will hold you accountable. Surround yourself. Yesterday, my wife was talking to her sister on the phone. Okay. Her sister, she doesn't watch this, so that's good. Her sister doesn't exercise, probably hasn't exercised in 10 years. And my wife said to her, kind of complaining, hey, I didn't go on the bike today. I need to go on the bike. And her sister's like, ooh, big deal. You didn't go on the bike. Making fun of her, right? In a sense, where if she told me I didn't go on the bike today, I'd say, hey, get on the bike and go, right? Yeah. It's that who are the people you're going to allow to influence and to have in your life? The ones that are going to say, if you really want to go on the bike, you should go right now, or the ones that say, big deal, who cares about that, right? I think that's really important now. And then I would say the concept of remember tomorrow. How will I feel about this? If you think you're going to feel amazing after you've had 10 drinks in a night, then go for it. But if you think that's probably not who I want to be tomorrow morning, then maybe you'll second guess that decision.
Yeah.
I think you've also got to remember as well, alcohol enhances anxiety. So if you're feeling anxious about the current situation, about business, about your life in general, having that bottle of wine tonight is not going to help your feelings in any way whatsoever. And it takes a strong person to say no and look for an alternative habit. And whether it's a health one or an artistic one, there are so many things you can replace it with, but it's just finding the thing that you want to do, and again, I'm so conscious that people do not always have the money to go and buy a flashy bike or a treadmill and put it at home, or they don't have the space, but they might want to, they can have their hour out a day in the UK for their walking. Take on your walk like a tourist. Go actually look at your surroundings. Don't just walk glibly for your hour. Look at the buildings. Look at the trees. Try and name the trees. Name what birds you do. Change it round. Don't hit the bottle because you are going to feel worse,
And by the way, talking about widening the gap, okay? Widening the gap between you and others. Sales of alcohol and spirits and wine and all that are up. There's like a 50% increase in sales. Okay. Are you widening the gap? Your competition might be out drinking. What are you doing? Right. That's what I'm talking about widening the gap. Are you joining that, or are you going against the grain, doing what other people won't to get what other people won't get?
Yeah. Makes sense. I've got a message here. So Sylv says, I lost my passion and enthusiasm to start with. Now, 6 weeks into lockdown, I'm starting to see one huge positive in all of this. And my business has suffered hugely since I'm in the fashion niche. But the positive of being locked down is I'm not experiencing any external distractions. My focus is stronger, and I'm so much cleaner in terms of seeing new opportunities than before. I find this to be pretty powerful. Indeed. We all know Sylv, I think, on this call, don't we? So you're doing well. Don't worry. I know she's over in Poland, and be good to see her back here in the UK very soon. Does anyone else want to add anything? Don't all jump at once.
I think only maybe just as this sounds like I'm bigging myself up, but I don't care. But 5 years ago, I was feeling very, I think my lowest, because I think it's important to mention that if you are feeling really low, there was days where I wouldn't even get up, I'd get up to sort the boys out, but I'd get back into bed. If you are feeling really low, you do need to reach out to professionals, and there are a lot of charities out there that can help and support you. But, I went, my lowest, I was going to just go to A&E. I don't even know why. I just was going to go to A&E. I still look back on that headspace and think, gosh, But I managed to get out. And last week I was featured in Forbes. So I just think if anybody, don't sit there and think that you can't do stuff, because you can. Because if I can, and I don't think I'm that particularly amazing, but, you can really, really go for your dreams and turn your life around. So just if you're having a bad day, tomorrow won't be as bad. And just, deep down what you got to do, whether it's you're drinking loads, whether you're in an abusive marriage, what your gut is telling you need to do. Yeah.
Listen to your gut.
Exactly. That's
Wise
it.
words.
And on a positive note, there will be tremendous opportunity that comes out of this, right? Out of any down period of time, in 2008 is when Uber and Airbnb started. Amazon became the king of ebooks. Ebook sales took over physical book sales in 2009. I mean, you could just do an easy Google search and see all the companies that started in downtimes and recessions and depressions. In fact, Procter & Gamble started it after some kind of plague or some kind of thing. So just realize that there's actually a lot of hidden opportunity among the current times that we're in. A lot of people are not going to start businesses, are not going to follow their ideas, and we'll look back probably a year from now or 2 years from now and be like, wow, look at all this that started. And ask yourself, what is the story that I'm writing? When I look back at this period of time in the history of my life, what is the story that I'm writing? Is it the story of Netflix and chill, or is it the story of destruction, death, depression, or is it the story of stepping up to the challenge and rising up? You know, I think I think someone else out there would gladly trade for your problems. Just recognize there's always going to be somebody out there that would happily take your entire bag of all the problems you think you have and would trade you. So recognize that, and this is a time to really step up, be a leader, take the role model mindset.
And if you can, try and practice. We haven't mentioned we mention meditation every week, right? We know it's a good thing to do. If you're not doing meditation, you don't know what you're doing, just go and find a playlist on YouTube. It's free. Lie in your bed, put headphones in. After 20 minutes, you'd be surprised how that switches up your equilibrium and what you can gain for that. So that, and practicing mindfulness, being thankful every day. Even if you think you're the worst affected person on the planet, if you can train your mind with being grateful for the little that you do have, that will give you wonderful returns on
Man, Danny, if you've got internet and a computer and a phone and you're watching this, you have something to be grateful for. You got a roof over your head. You've got something to be grateful for. So we all have things we can be we can be grateful for in our life. So totally agree. If you start your day with a thank you, you're gonna have a much better day. And you know, simple things like, you know, today's gonna be an amazing day. You're subconsciously programming your brain to go and do that. Your head is not. You got to be. You know, what I've learned is you got to be more in your heart than in your head, because your head is not designed to make you happy. Your head is designed to make you survive. And we have a you know, brain that's thousands of years old that's meant to either fight, flight, or freeze. And just recognize that, because that's not always what you need. And those responses are, you know, evolutionary old responses that are not designed to make you happy. You have to learn the tools to fight against that.
Cool. I'm just going to make some announcements for this week. So Monday, I'm still defining what we're going to do tomorrow. But Tuesday, we're going to do pandemic PPC. Where are we with the latest numbers? On Wednesday, we're doing failed products. Liran's back again. We're going to do some funny stories and take the piss out of our failed products. And then on Thursday, you're going to do Shopify off Amazon Part 2. Friday, Awesomeness versus Seller Sessions return. So that's a co-brand with Steve Simonson. We're going to discuss 0 to 50 million in terms of building teams. And then, of course, Saturday, 26, Women of Amazon Part 6. And then Sunday, Mindset Sunday. Me and Liran haven't determined what we're going to do next week, but we'll be doing that. But back to you guys. One thing I want to say, if you need anything, hit me up on Facebook, phone me, message me. I'm there for you. I'm sure the same with you guys as well. So, Linda, how can people reach you if they're in there?
Facebook's the best thing. Just go and find me. They'll find me through you because I'm a friend of yours. So track me down on Facebook, and I'm there to help. As I say, I've got so much experience. If you need just a little prod in the right direction, give me a call.
Liran?
If you need anything, just contact Danny. I mean, I'm on Facebook. Feel free to reach out.
Cool. And again, very brave. I know you've been through a lot. Thank you for being you and saying what you've said. If people want to reach out to you in a similar situation.
On Facebook, Anna Davidson. So reach out to me. I'm on Instagram as well, but Facebook is probably the best way.
Great. Well, that was quite emotional, actually. So let's leave that there. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, rest of their Sunday, wherever you are in the world. I'll be back here 4 o'clock tomorrow. You'll see Liran a few times again this week. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. And everyone, have a great day. Let's sign off.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Thank you.